Hello, Assalamualaikum, and a very good morning. My name is Hamiza Hanani, and today I would like to present about communication accommodation theory in communication theories. So this is the table of contents, which is introductions, main principles, impacts, and the conclusion. So what is communication accommodation theory? Developed by Communication accommodation theory developed by Howard Childs in the early 1970s, where he explores how and why individuals adjust their communication behavior in social interactions. The theory examines how people modify their speech, tone, and nonverbal cues to either align with or distinguish themselves from their conversation partners. Can Communication accommodation theory intertwined with the social psychology and identity, which is communication accommodation highlights how social norms and group dynamics influence communication behavior. As for instance, individuals may converge their communication styles to align with the expectations of social group. And this adjustment is influenced by psychological factors such as perceptions, attitude, and motivation. So there is two things in social psychology and identity, which is in group and out group. In group is the adjustment where the adjustment is to serve to strengthen social bonds and reinforce group identity. As an example, a group of friends creating a sense of intimacy and connection by sharing a specific slang or jargon that only they understand. And the impact of these things is this behavior will enhance the group cohesion and loyalty, which is vital for the group functioning and success. Outgroup. Meanwhile, outgroup is it occurs when individuals emphasize difference in communication style when interacting with members of an outgroup. Um, the purpose is it often used to exert distinctiveness and main individuality. As an example, in a multicultural setting, someone from one ethnic group might purposely use their native language or accent when talking to people from another group to highlight their cultural identity. And the impact is this behavior can protect the group identity itself, but it also may lead to any misunderstanding. So there are four things in assumptions, which is implicate and explicit, influential, critical reasoning, and context dependent. So what is implicate? Implicate assumptions are not directly stated, but are understood or taken for granted. It often operate in the background of conversations or reasoning and may go unnoticed. As an example, two people are discussing a plan and one assumes that it will be inexpensive without directly saying so, and the unspoken assumption could lead to many confusion later. So explicit assumptions more to ensure that all parties are on the same page, that reducing the chances of miscommunication or misunderstanding. As an example, it often used in formal arguments like in work setting, research, and contracts. Like if someone says, "Okay, let's review uh, the projects next week or next month," so it means that the project timeline will be followed. So we review by next month. So influential assumptions. It is a perception and evaluation uh, where two important things that shaping on how people experience and interpret conversations. An example, before starting a conversation with a friend who just frustrated after the meeting, you perceive that your coworker is in vulnerable state, in not emotionally stable, like I can say. So you instead of you giving her or him a direct criticism after the meeting, you just decide to give him any motivation words to boost up her feelings and avoid her from any emotional distress. So critical reasoning assumptions is a language can also be seen as a person's status and whether they belong to a certain group during a conversation. Like example, you are talking with a Kedahan friends in their slang, even you are a Kuala Lumpur or city girl, so they know when you do that, they know that you have that capability to speak in that language too. So the next one is a context dependent, where it refers to the process of understanding and establishing the background, conditions, and perspective that can shape any assumptions that we made. As an example, in a workplace settings, someone may assume a colleague, sorry, a colleague is always late due to laziness, uh, extra sleep, and so on. But by developing the context, it might reveal that actually the colleague is facing facing some transportation issues or personal challenge, which it changed the assumption. So the key concept of communication accommodation theory is convergence, divergence, and over accommodation. So what is a convergence? Convergence has referred to adapting one communication style to become more like the conversation partner, often to enhance social. As an example, to fit in and appear more competent. Amira is a new staff worker, and she begins to adapt the same jargon and any industry specific terms in her communication with her team. So from that things, we can see that Amira is actually already fit in, and and she appear more competent together with together with her colleague. So the next one is divergence. Divergence, we can refers divergence as a process which individuals deliberately emphasize differences in their communication style. So as an example, rather than adjusting, they maintain. Like Akila, she's a Kelantanese, but she maintains her Kelantanese slang or accent. We can call it as an accent, native language, while talking to her colleague, even after several years living in Kuala Lumpur. That's the divergence. The next one is over accommodation. Over accommodation, it refers to when someone excessively adapts their communication style to another person, and it leading to negative effects. Instead of fostering connection, it creates discomfort and or offense. As an example, if you speak very loudly to an eldest, even the person is actually fully capable of understanding your normal speech. That's over accommodation. So there are three forms of over accommodation, which is sensory, dependency, and intergroup. Over accommodation sensory is adjusting their communication in an exaggerated or overly simplified way to accommodate a person with a sensory impairment like hearing or vision loss. So as an example, just like previous example, which is you speak very loudly to a person with hearing loss, but it's actually uh, they just need um, they just need to read your lips and all, no need to shout and everything. So over next one is over accommodation dependency, which is it refers to a communication style where one person overly adjusts their communication because they perceive the other person as dependent or less capable. As an example, to have a conversation with an elderly person. So to speak with them, you can speak with them, but you cannot think like they don't understand or make or they cannot make any decision for themselves. So you cannot actually you cannot think like they actually depends to you, depending to you, something like that. So last one is intergroup of accommodation. In this communication, it occurs when someone overly adjusts their communication style when interacting with members of another social, cultural, or demographic group. As an example, in a conversation with someone from different cultural background and speaking in an overly simplified or exaggerated manner because you assume they don't understand your language well. So the third one is implications in interpersonal relationships, intergroup relations, perceptions of competence and attitudes, and language and identity. So as conclusion, overall, communication accommodation theory highlights the dynamic and strategic nature of communication that showing on how we constantly navigate social interactions to manage relationship, identities, and perceptions. Over accommodation or inappropriate adjustments can lead to many negative outcomes, such as patronizing behavior, miscommunication, or reinforcing stereotypes. Overall, communication accommodation theory highlights the importance of balancing communication strategies to create meaningful, respectful, and effective interactions across diverse social groups. So that's all. Thank you.